Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to One Hub Racing Season 27, round number 9. We've got 4 more rounds to go, and this track takes us to the second night race of the season. It is the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar, designed for MotoGP races, but the F1 cars are going to have a go today. In the pouring rain to start with, and then it gets dry and qualifying. More about the adaptive weather system a little bit later on. My name is Jess Bohr. I am back after a week off due to my holiday, but joining me once again, after doing a great job lead commentating last week, it is Mike. Mike, how you doing?
Doing a fantastic, Jess. Looking forward to this one. Of course, I mean, last week, I think... it was unfortunate, but you did miss an absolutely brilliant race. Obviously, Ben Mills in a class of his own in Singapore last time out. But we had a lovely three-way battle between Marco, Kieran and Alex for the final 2 spots on the podium.
Yes, I was watching it back on the train on Monday, and it just could have gone either way. And it really shows in the Drivers' Championship how close it is between those 3 drivers in particular. Some of the other drivers, of course, are a little bit further away. Ben Mills is on a league of his own in some races, winning the last 3 races this season. And to be fair, he didn't dominate majority of the race. The gap was quite small for some of it, but there was some parts of the races where he managed it really well. And we'll go through the standings right now. I'll get it up on your screens. The lobby, we're still waiting for a few more drivers, which is why we haven't gone yet. So we've got Ben Mills that is leading the way, the standings on 104 points. Then we got Marco in second on 89, then 98, sorry, and then joint with Kieran. So that is very close between those 2. And then Atslock as well, not that far behind. Jaco, of course, did not do very well. He had a drive-through last week because the 5 red lights when she couldn't see the 5 red lights. So he's looking for redemption. Is one of his favourite tracks. Callum Unarmed, of course, he's not missing any other races this season. He's not where he wants to be, but he's down in 6th. Then we got Casper in 7th, Collie in 8th. Alex having a very good result in P9. He got the Sim Racing Setups Driver of the Day for the tier, so well done to him. And Nick is in the top 10. So even though Ben is leading, it's still pretty much wide open.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, it looks ominous now that Ben's taken the championship lead because other than the opening round, he's won every single race that he's raced in this season. But, I mean, there's still possibility there for Marco and Kieran. Obviously, we know on their day they can take the fight and take a race win. Of course, Kieran already proven that this year. Same with Marco, actually. Both picking up race wins this season. Obviously, Callum and Arm could definitely get in the mix as well. I mean, we saw last week Alex was looking very rapid. Arnold looked very quick as well at Singapore. So, I mean, it's still plenty of people that can cause Ben Mills some troubles. So, even though he's in the lead, it's not over and done with just yet.
It definitely isn't, and with the adaptive weather system, this could shape things quite up, because if you missed the pre-race show, we will roughly go through what the weather is going to be. So it's going to start off very wet to light cloud in qualifying, and in each session, it dried up in different places. So the P1 drivers are not going to assume, hopefully, that, oh, it dried up at this point in the P3 tier, and then in the P2 tier, maybe it's going to dry up at this point here. Nope, it might not, because in the first practice session we did, it didn't dry up at all for softs. So anything could happen when it's set to approximate. And then the race, it is, I'm trying to remember what the race is. I know it's light clouds, overcast to wet, or it's the other way around. But I know it's obviously going to be wet at the end of the race. And with dynamic weather on other league races, it hardly ever rains in Qatar. So that's the brilliance of the adaptive weather system, but it's going to shake up the order because, Mike, not many people have wet setups.
No, around a track like this is so rare to get rain. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a wet race at Qatar in just normal dynamic weather. So the adaptive weather system definitely throwing a spanner in the works, let's say, for tonight. And of course, we saw in P2, it literally went dry right at the end. Literally, as soon as you go out on your outlap, right at the end of the session, that's when DRS was enabled. So, I mean, the guys here tonight, they might not be able to get a dry tyre in, but they just might, and you never know, you got to be on the right tyre at the right time.
Yep, you do. And I think it's going to come down to who is going to be in the right place at the right time. P3 tier, I think there was only 3 or 4 drivers that got soft laps, and in P2 there's only 6. And we've seen in qualifying for a lot of drivers in the racing, position is more important. And for some drivers, they were able to climb their way through the field. So let us go on some laps then around the Losail International Circuit. We got an 18-car grid this evening. I'm trying to look to see who is first on a lap. I believe it's one of the McLarens. It is Callum. So Callum is currently sit in at the championship, and it would help if I get to the scene. There we go. So you probably notice, yes, it's very wet, but on this game on F1 25, it likes to do weird things. The 4 wets on this game are absolutely useless in general, in the race and in qualifying. So you just avoid them altogether. That's my advice. Yes, it looks full wet, but yeah, it's like a useless dog, pretty much, the full wet. So that's why you're seeing the majority of drivers who are smart who have opted for the intermediate compound of tyres, which is what you should do in these full wet conditions in quali and in the race. And we will see a lot of drivers actually putting on more laps in the car, more laps of fuel in the car than usual, because they could get some more laps in. So they'll probably do 1 out lap. Some people may just do a sighter lap just to get the feel for it, and then they do a push lap. But some people would like to get a push lap straight away. But would you like to take us on board a lap with Callum, Mike?
Yeah, so Callum coming through turn number 2 and now through turn 3 as he approaches the very tricky right-handers at turn 4 and of course turn number 5, where it's very easy just to step over and pick up the invalidation. Into the hairpin now at turn number 6 with a 37.1 first sector split. Callum looking for a good traction out of there, and you see a little bit of a slide on the exit as we come through turn number 7, and this corner feels never ending, but you gotta get on the throttle, get onto that outside curb on the exit as you come through 8, 9 and now in towards turn number 10. Again, traction crucial coming out of here, and I'm surprised that Callum is not using his battery, so maybe he is going for a bit of a sighter lap. But now into the triple right-handers, where it is all about positioning your car correctly before entering each corner, because you can run wide and pick up an invalidation. And of course, through this left-hander, carry a little bit too much speed, you're off on the right-hand side. But now towards the final corner there with Callum and armed, all about traction, getting on the throttle nice and early, a little bit of a slide on the exit for the McLaren, but here he comes now to the line, using a bit of overtake, and it's a 40.5 to get us underway.
I've noticed he didn't use any overtake at all on his lap. I saw that he was using hot lap, but not overtake. But I would recommend using hot lap either on your lap, even in the wet, as we're seeing more drivers setting lap times currently. Lukey is currently fastest, but expect the times to go even quicker. Casper goes 4th. He can't improve on that time. Owen goes up to the line. He goes 3rd. And then we got one of our newest drivers, Seco, who's on the 4 wets at the moment. He's about to start his main lap at the moment. We're missing 2 drivers. I can't remember who we're missing, but we haven't got a full grid this evening, which is very unfortunate, which means that some of the championship positions will be a lot less closer than it actually is. The Seacoast just started his lap, and as we were saying, everyone's going to do more than 1 lap, because it's just going to be very hard for us to track at the moment to see who's on that. Interestingly, that J. Cole's still in the pits and Marco's just on his outlap. There's a few people that have gone a bit out of sync, and this track is very easy to invalidate, Mike.
Yeah, very easy, and of course, I mean, going a little bit out of sync, obviously at this stage, it's not really too hindrance, because obviously the drivers are putting in multiple laps at the time. So I wouldn't say it's horrible to be slightly out of sync at this stage, but yeah, like, it's so difficult to keep it within the limits, especially in the wet conditions. Obviously the track is drying, and it is going to ramp up the deeper into qualifying that we go, as Callum crosses the line and sets the provisional pole lap time of 38.4, which is immediately beaten by Alex, who was directly in behind Callum, and then Ben Mills.
4 or 5 tenths quicker than the rest of the pack. What could his teammate do? His teammate has been a naughty boy and has invalidated his lap time. What could Casper Klein do? I believe he just started his next run. So a few people not having enough airs to do some runs, but multiple runs at once. So they're going to do probably one hot lap and then one in lap pretty much and one hot lap again. But mainly using medium for most people. What could our newest driver to the league do? Seco in the Kick Sauber. He's got a lot of work to do in the pouring rain around Qatar, but there's not much pressure for him at the moment. It's a 140.9, but we could already see the 4 wets is definitely not the tyre to be on. You would want to be on the Inters, as Arnold is just invalidated.
Yeah, and I had a little look on who we are missing for tonight, and it is Robite in the Red Bull and
yes.
Senna in the Alpine. So no Senna, no Robite at this moment in time. So they are the 2 drivers that are missing. And honestly, I think it's not a bad thing, because when you look at the constructors, Jess, obviously they're not the teams that are involved in the constructors battle, which is also very tasty as well. So even though the drivers is heating up, the constructors is also heating up as well.
Yeah, of course we've got Williams as Mercedes, and they're P1 and P2 at the moment. Mark has just gone faster, and Ben's just saying beat that, but Nick's just set a very good lap time in third, and Lukey's just like, hold my ravioli, and he is a driver, like we saw in Silverstone, that loves the wet conditions. The wet conditions are his friend. The track is definitely ramping up, because the more you're out on track during laps, the quicker you will get. As we've got Owen out there on top. Anyone else just about to finish? I think we've got one of the Alpines about to finish on their lap time. We'll see if they can improve on their runs very, very soon. But you want to be out on the track for most of this qualifying, Mike.
Yeah, you want to build the confidence. Of course, around a circuit like this, it doesn't rain much, so any experience you can get in qualifying, you're going to want to get. Just a nice feel of how the intermediates handle on this track, and of course, where you can push the limits, where you can't push the limits, is all good information to take in at this stage. And also, it just builds confidence, because if it doesn't go to the dry tyres, then you're going to be on the Inters for the final run, and you're just building that confidence for your final couple of laps.
Yeah, and we saw in both tiers that some people think, yeah, I could do go out early, go on Inters for your final run, and then suddenly the track just dried up, DRS enabled, and they were thinking, oh, maybe I should have waited to go out on soft, but it was probably better them staying out maybe than just waiting for the soft moment and you were too late. So it's about a catch-22 pretty much, as we'll see more lap times go out on the board as Marco goes fastest with a 1:33.3. I think it was a 1:24.2, I think it was, qualifying pole in the P2 tier. I expect 1:23s in these type of conditions if it is softs, but if the track was to not dry up, then probably in the 1:30s, 1:28s potentially, as Arnaud just goes fastest with a 1:33.1. And one advantage about some drivers not being here tonight, they're not going to worry about double stacking, because we see that costed quite a few people in both tiers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you never really want to double stack with your teammate. And obviously the driver in behind usually is at the disadvantage. They may have to extend their tyres an extra lap and lose out on track position due to an undercut. But also at the same time, if they're in the safety car conditions, well, it's always better to double stack in those situations. Again, you lose a lot of time in a competitive grid like this. Any double stack that does happen, you lose a lot of time, because all these drivers are so closely packed on pace.
I think with the grid keeps evolving every few weeks in terms of improvement, in terms of people getting used to the game. There was quite a few people saying that they prefer high downforce tracks. I think there was one pre-race interview that I was looking at saying that having high downforce tracks will even the playing field, because there's quite a lot more drivers that like those high downforce tracks. It was quite interesting, but there were some people that hated it. So it was kind of like a mixed bag as to who liked the high downforce and who doesn't. And Kieran is not sure. He said it is better than some slower tracks, at least. I'm just trying to pick out on some drivers. When we were speaking to Nick earlier, he's saying that he always seems to be quicker on high downforce tracks, so he says the thrill is those. And Ben Mills saying high downforce tracks could be more fun to drive, higher cornering speed and the feeling of being on the limit. Yes, and that's why we've seen quite a few drivers picked up time penalties in practice, not as much during the races in some tiers, which shows that in one of the questions in the pre-race interviews, they looked at what corners gives you track limits and they avoided it.
Yeah, especially at the moment, and because obviously track limits can be a little bit of an issue at the moment. So, yeah, you might extend once and pick up multiple warnings for it, which of course you would have to take up at the stewards post race. But yeah, the driver is definitely going to be trying their best to stay away from the track limits here tonight.
Yeah. As Colin goes third, I completely missed his lap time. He goes third. Ben Mills, I believe, is about 5 tenths up, so he's going to come across the line. He's hardly got any overtake left, and he goes to 1:31.3. If I was him, probably go into the pits right now. Axelot is harvesting, so he's not going to improve. Colin is harvesting as well, so he's going to go into the pits, actually. And I'm seeing on my screen that J. Cole is on a lap, but Colley's on the soft, so he thinks that the track's going to dry up the soft. So just because it dried up in the lower tier, it doesn't mean it could dry up here. So that's the beauty of approximate, as J. Cole goes up to the line. Of course, really successful driver around this track in one hub. He goes at 4th fastest, ahead of Axelot and Colin. And we got Nick on an out lap, so I wonder if he's committing to the inters now, which is quite interesting. Of course, we don't know about the slots of the weather. These drivers do, so they have more of an idea.
Yeah, they do have more of an idea. I can imagine everyone is frantically talking with their race engineer, asking for the weather update, and seeing how much longer the rain is going to be around for, and whether or not it's going to be worth going on to the set of the softs. You see Callum and Anders chucked on the set of the soft compound tyres as well, so maybe both Collie and Callum are thinking it's going to be similar to what happened in P2, where it stopped raining around 2 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think that's what, or I think, I'm just trying to think, I think P3 and P2, it dried up pretty much at the same time. I think P2 it dried up slightly earlier and DRS became available slightly earlier. But that didn't really make that much difference. But I know for some people, if they know the track's going to dry up and if they're on inters now, they would probably come into the pits and then go a set of softs on. Or will they chance it and go on inters thinking that it's going to stay like this and it's probably going to help them in the long run. It is a gamble for this tier because they had 2 tiers to watch. They both had a race which was enough for softs at the end of qualifying. If this doesn't end up being the case for P1, they're going to be a little bit hard done by, but it's approximate. Now they're just invalidated. He's going to go into the pit. Chris, I think, is going to go on another run unless he's ran out of fuel. I'm just trying to look at his dash, but it's really hard to tell. Let me get his telemetry up. Yeah, he has run out of fuel, so he's going to come and dive it in.
I'm looking at 3 drivers now down towards the tail end of the field who are, honestly, it's a shock to see them down that low. It's Casper, Kieran and Nick at the moment. And it has stopped raining now, Jess, so soft tyres are the ones to be on.
Yeah, that is a lot earlier than other tiers, I think. I think it dried with 2 minutes to go in P2 and P3. So it was a lot earlier. So if you are close to the pits, pit. Nick, if you're watching this, pit. But it might be a bit too late, so he probably has to... I think he's probably taking his better line on it. If he goes into the pits now, he's not going to make it out in time. So, yeah, that's why he's staying out. So he's going to be in a spot of trouble. Maybe he's going to help his teammate, potentially. But most people are out on soft. Alex has come in. He's not going to do another lap, unfortunately. There's no way he's going to make it out in time.
Oh, no.
Alex is invalidated.
Sorry, I just had to look on board with Kieran now, and I just seen he's come out at the end of the session on the set of the intermediates.
Oh, maybe you choose the wrong tyre, Mike, because there's 2 options that they give you. Maybe he pressed a switch to recommended tyre compound instead of ignore and go to track. Kieran, what have you done?
He was on the wet compounded tyres in the pit lane, and then he switched to the inters and he's come out. So I guess, yeah, he must have just made that mistake. But yeah, I think everyone is on the set of the inters. So Nick, Alex, and Kieran are going to be very hard done by, and I don't think Owen and Seiko are going to get out in time.
No, yeah. I think Owen's realised, so he's come into the pits. But I think you had to go out with 2 minutes to go. If you don't go out with 2 minutes to go, you're not going to make it in time. I literally just did a lap in P2 earlier. So if you didn't go out with with more than 2 minutes to go, then you're in a slight bit of trouble. Who's the last person who we think is going to set a lap? It's probably going to be.
Seago was going to be the last one, I think.
No, he's not going to make it. I don't think he's going to make it in time. Unless he could. We could see quite a shock order for pole position, but Colin's going to be the first driver to set a lap. But I think the later you went out, the more likely you're gonna get a lap in. But just look at the traffic on the mini-map. Everyone is just trying to go through. Whereas Colin, look at that. Colin's got some clear air and he's able just to set a perfect lap. And it's like a Monza situation. Look at this. If they can't, they got to get a move on, because otherwise they're not gonna make it to do a lap time. So here we go, 10 minutes to go on the clock. I'm a bit worried about some of these drivers. I don't think Seiko's going to make it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's just made it. Alex won't, but everyone else could. Let's watch Colin on his lap then as he makes his way through the triple right-hander. It's not going to be the fastest time out there, but with him having clear air, this may be a competitive lap time for the Welshman. Into the final part of the triple right-hander in 6th gear. Fully committed through there. 4th gear on entry into the penultimate corner, in toward the start-finish straight. What could he do? The Ferrari man. It's going to be fastest, a 1:24.0, but we know drivers could go quicker than that. Nick's not going to improve on Colin's time, so let's go.
Callum's invalidated.
Callum has invalidated his lap, so he's not going to improve. What could the 2 Racing Bulls do? I'm just trying to see which Racing Bull is on a lap next. I believe it is Kieran. He was debating that he wasn't even going to make it into the race because of his illness, but he is back. He's also got a certain Williams behind him as well. Kieran's on Inters though, so I don't think he's going to improve. But let's watch the Williams and Kieran go up to the line as Ben Mills goes fastest. Of course he does. As Marco goes second. What could the 2 Aston Martins do? Axelot goes third. He got a perfect toe from his teammate Chris, which helped him a little bit. Curry is slowed right down, but he's going to go up into 6th, which is quite good for him. I think we just got Seiko, but he was on Inter, so he's not going to improve anyway. So that is it then. Ben Mills is on pole position in this race. Oh, Casper. Yeah.
What could have been for Casper? I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's a very impressive lap time from Kieran on the Inters as well. 1:26 from Kieran. So even though he was on the wrong tyre, he still managed to salvage a decent qualifying spot.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I think I have to say, I'm just looking, Nick's time was good, and I think in the Inters as well, which puts him P9, but surely he would have wanted to go higher. But we'll go for your results then. 7 almost 8 100ths of a second separating between Ben and Marco. Then we got Axelot, Colin, Curry, Chris, Kieran, Nick, Arnold, Seiko, Alex, Lukey, J, Cole, Callum, Owen, Alexa, and Casper. There were quite a few drivers from this grid that did not set a lap time on the softs. They thought it wasn't going to dry up in time, but surely it did. Who was your good surprises in qualifying, and who do you think let you down, Mike?
In terms of who let me down, I have to say it has to be Casper. Like, obviously, we've seen the pace of him in the past, and obviously him being down all the way towards the back is not ideal for him to start this race. In terms of the shock, Joe, I'm actually going to say, and Curry and Chris are both the shocks now for me. Both of them getting very good qualifying positions. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do at the start of this race, because genuinely they've been in that mix now, fighting for the tail end of the points or just outside it for most of the season. And I think now they have a very good chance of doing something now at the start of this race.
Yeah, I was impressed with Curry, especially because he has not had the best of seasons. He felt like a bit hard done by in some of the races, and with a track like Qatar, with the adaptive weather system where the weather could change everything, if you get the strategy right, if you get the qualifying right, it's hard to overtake unless you have OP straight line speed and can cope with that. So Curry is gonna, I think, hopefully he needs to have a setup which has lower straight line speed than everyone else to order to keep that position, because he's going to have to really defend for his life. And Chris, I know, hasn't driven around Qatar that much, so he impressed me as well. I'm looking at the disappointment in my end. Of course, Casper. Owen as well. He didn't make it out in time. He committed to the inters and he thought he wasn't going to be dry enough. There was a few other drivers. Let's see. Callum, J. Cole, both McLarens actually disappointed me. And I saw Lukey in the chat, Mike. Lukey would have done a 23.5, but he invalidated. He would have been up there near his teammate.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I noticed at the end. There was a lot of invalidations from the drivers. Both McLarens invalidating. Obviously, Lukey invalidating as well. I mean, a whole heap of invalidations, and that's the issue. I mean, it happened with me in P2 when you go out for that final run on the softs.
It's pressure.
If you invalidate, it's game over as soon as you go for the track limits. So yeah, it's I feel bad for them, but obviously they've shown great pace around here in the past. So let's see if they can get their way through the field.
Yeah, I think we have seen people climb their way up through the field before. I think Solal had a very rubbish qualifying, but he was able to turn it around in the race. So it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen in both tiers that you can overtake around it, even though it's difficult to overtake. So you would want to be in the top 10 to stand, I think, a good chance of getting a good result. But there has been cases in some races in the last few seasons where people started lower down and still finished quite well. No chance of safety car, I think, in this race, because we saw in the lower tiers that we didn't get a safety car, but you never know around here. Let's go to the media day, as the press was quite busy getting some spicy rivalries, including Lukey versus Colin. Of course, Lukey got a podium in Silverstone. Colin is a good qualifier, but unfortunately, things always seem to let him down in the race, and their responses are quite funny, so I'm going to have to look at those. So the question was, two absolute sweats in the P1 rivalries this week. Both of you have had some good battles this season. Who do you think is the biggest sweat out of you both this week, and what are you going to do to stop your rival getting a good result? And Colin said, probably me this week, hoping I get remove some of the bad luck and errors and get a good result. We all agreed to ignore Silverstone race, so it's a close title battle. And Lukey responded to that. I've not had time to practice this week, so it's 100% Colin the sweat. On pure pace, Colin is typically the quicker one. On some charts it's been close, but we've always been very fair and respectful racing, so it's always fun racing Colin. Stopping him will be extremely difficult. So Lukey being the nice one out of this, and Colin's like, let's ignore Silverstone. Little spicy Colin, eh, Mike?
Honestly, it's that's terrible behaviour from you, Colin. Terrible behaviour. But I know for a fact that he's looking for a big redemption here tonight after what happened in Singapore last week, because he had great pacing, he was on for a good result, but for some reason in fifth gear coming out of turn 14 at Singapore, his rear end just absolutely snapped on him and he was in the wall, the front wing gone, and that was his race over and done with.
Yeah, and that must be very frustrating. He was telling me about it before the pre-race talk show as well, and he, I think, was a bit annoyed because I was watching the race in my hotel room and he was looking good up until that point. And then the next moment, I looked, where's Colin? And then he said he had a moment. So it just shows around these night races with the temperatures and all that, things could change and the pressure could potentially get to you. So Colin is hoping for a much better result. Lukey is hoping for the rain to come earlier so he can show his wet weather prowess, I would say. I'm trying to find Nick's response to the pre-race interview because I find one of his answers quite funny in terms of track limit penalties. They were asked, what is your strategy to avoid track limit penalties? He said, ask the stewards nicely to remove them all for me. What do you think, Mike?
I don't think that'll work unless it's an unfair penalty there, Nick. But it was a nice try.
It was a nice try, but that was quite a funny answer. But yeah, track limit penalties I think are going to be an absolute nightmare for the drivers. I think in P2, I think hardly anyone got any track limit warnings, which shows that practice does make perfect. J. Cole saying to avoid track limit penalties, he doesn't want to drive off the track. Fair enough, J. Cole. Fair enough. And Casper saying good luck running high wings against me when he was asked about whether he prefers high or low downforce circuits. So liking a few of the answers there, I picked some few. Now let's predict our top three after what we saw in qualifying, and based on the adaptive weather system, we've got a dry to wet race. We don't know when it's going to come. In P2 it came really early. In P3 it came, I think, a little bit later, but a bit earlier than the practice session, so it's going to be a tall order. Who do you think is going to be your top three, Mr. Mike Edwards?
Well, I'm gonna say the streak gets broken here tonight. Ben Mills' his winning streak gets put to an end because of the weather. Because of the weather, I think Kieran can maybe take the race win here tonight. And then I'm gonna go Ben Mills in second place, and third. In third place, I'm debating between Marco and J. Cole, but I'm gonna lean over to our fellow commentator in One Hub. I'm gonna give J. Cole the podium.
So he's going to come up from lower down the grid to get on the podium. That is a good prediction. We did, to be fair, we've seen quite a few drivers in P2 do something, or almost do something similar. So it is possible. So it will be interesting to see. Let me get my predictions because the clock is ticking. So I think Ben is going to keep up his winning streak in P1. I think Marco's going to be second and Kieran's going to be third. Yes, I've changed my prediction, but I didn't think Kieran's going to be racing tonight. So that's going to be my prediction for P3. For the top three, sorry. But we've also got engine and gearbox penalties to go through. So we got Alex who's taking a gearbox, Alexa's taking engine, Callum's taking gearbox, and Owen is taking engine. So those are your four drivers. Of course, some drivers were near the back anyway, so for them to have a car wear penalty around Qatar, it's not going to be that bad. But if I was at racing in that tier, I wouldn't have gone for a car wear penalty myself around this track.
No, I mean, there's other tracks where, of course, it's more ideal to take the engine and gearbox wear penalties. But yeah, I mean, I get it on theory if you've got a car that is good in a straight line. If you can make the overtakes happen around you, getting rid of a gearbox here is quite ideal. But if you can't, then it's going to be a long race trying to come through the field. Yeah,
I wouldn't have gone through that because you should have seen what happened near the back as well in both tiers. There were people that were trying to get past, but it was just so difficult for them. And we hope they're not going to have the same issues. But we've got some sponsors to go through, so we will go through that before we head to the main race action. Of course, we have Next Level Racing, who are providing some prizes this season, as you can see on your screen. Pure Sim Gear, you can use the code OHR10P to get 10% off all of their products, including some socks and gloves, and the winner of the most combined fastest laps and poles will win a pair of gloves or socks from them. Of course, we've got sim racing setups. They provide lots of dry, wet setups, esports setups for the whole I think we're going. Okay, enough about sponsors. Someone readied up too early, it seems, and it is lights out, and away we. Restart.
I think it's a restart. I think there's either something that needs changing, or we
Yeah, well, we saw a bit of demolition. I don't know what happened now. Let me check the chat to see what's happened. I do not know what's gone on here. Lukey said he messed up.
The grid didn't save. He obviously done
Naughty
the grid order.
Naughty Lukey. I thought someone readied up too early. I was just like, I was in the middle of the sponsors. I was loving life. I thought I was going to get it. Oh my God, we got a red flag. It's a red flag here in One Hub Racing, but we're not commentating on it because it's a demolition derby race, which means we'll have to wait a little bit longer. We'll go for our sponsors once again. Where were we? We done the Pure Sim gear. Now we move on to Vespertine, that's supporting our merchandise and has helped with the payment system for season 27. And finally, our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, there will be loads of forms to fill out and spreadsheets. So there we go. They are your sponsors. We've got we had two people. I was tempted to go on board with this actually, but we have two people getting the start. Please retire so we can get underway. Thank you very much. So, yes, we're going to have to waffle on a bit more, which is great because we've got lots of more media day stuff going on. And someone just saying in the chat, I guess we know red flags were. I still think they're bugged personally, but there we go.
Yeah, I just put in the chat now just to see what would happen. And all in favour of a drive-through penalty for Lukey. Say aye.
No. He should start at the back of the grid. He should start at the back of the grid, Lukey, because he did make that mistake. So basically, Lukey messed up the custom grid. So we got some of the drivers, pretty much most drivers, in the wrong place. So, yeah, he's going to have to do it all again. Well, that's your fault, Lukey, for messing the grid up. So, there we go. If you are in the chat, in the Twitch chat, if Lukey deserves a drive-through penalty, say aye. Bet that was amusing to watch on the stream, Kieran. Yes, I was kind of wondering what's going on because we were going through sponsors and then, bam, everyone started crashing. And I was like, hang on, what was going on here?
Sure, right. There's rumors going around that what's called the Ferrari team have put in a stewards report against Lukey, and they're looking for a 10-point deduction to give Colin and Lukey similar points.
Oh my goodness! Imagine if that happens. The stewards the office opens at 9 AM tomorrow, so even if they submit a ticket, it'll be invalid anyway. But surely the stewards would give some sort of exception. I don't know. But I think for some drivers, how is this going to affect them? Because they were raring to go, they had their setups on, they were gearing up, getting ready, and now they're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Well, it's it knocks people out of a rhythm. Obviously, going from qualifying, obviously, the grid obviously being set up with engine penalties, etc. And obviously it does knock the drivers out of a bit of a rhythm because they get into a nice flow in qualifying, and obviously they have to have a little bit of a cool down before the race. But when it has to be restarted immediately like this, it's just longer that they are sat there, not going around the track, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a very tentative opening couple of laps now. As the drivers try to get their rhythm back around the circuit.
And I know that some people will be keen to get going straight away, and they may ready up too early potentially. I don't know. Even though they're not meant to, there'll be some drivers that will potentially be a little bit impatient and want to get going. If I was the driver, I would be a bit frustrated that we haven't got going, but. Of course, it depends if you're the host or you're the one just waiting. And if you're just the one waiting, twiddling your thumbs, you don't know what you're going to do. So these drivers, they they may think a bit different about their strategy because they had a little bit of an inkling. They had a bit of a spy about what was going on as to what the strategy was for some drivers. So they may change their tyres. That could be one thing for some drivers, or maybe they weren't paying attention to that. I don't know, because they haven't changed it a little bit. We'll go through the drivers' press conference in just a moment, but I have to say, Ben Mills, this could be his opportunity here to get another streak. If he gets another race win, surely the championship is his. Bloody hell, Luca, you set up the grid quite quickly. Hopefully you set up the grid correctly this time, because I do not want another restart.
I mean, if it's another restart, I think it's definitely a 10-point deduction, drive-through penalty.
We'll strike, a commentator strike. We're not going to commentate if we're joking.
But hopefully, hopefully everything is sorted now. They'll be going to be ready and gearing to go, and then we can get into all of the action.
Yes, so we've gone through the sponsors. We usually go through the sponsors by now, but we already did that. But it gives us a chance to look at one of our drivers in detail, the driver that's currently sitting second in the championship, Marco. And he was asked, it was very close between himself and Ben at the top of the championship. And he was asked whether he can overhaul Ben by the end of the season, and how can he make sure that the P1 title belongs to you. And he said, of course I'll try my best. I hope for the best. Ben's speed is amazing. He doesn't make any mistakes in the races, so everything has to go perfectly. The last few weeks have been busy, so I hope I have enough time to train for the last race of the season. And I think it's important for some drivers. Some people don't have enough time to practice for these races. And the ones that do well are the ones that practice. And if Marco doesn't have enough time, Ben's just going to find more motivation to practice more.
Well, I mean, it's not only that. I mean, Marco right now is sitting P2 in the championship. Obviously, if practice is going to become a rare thing for the remainder of the season for him, then he's going to begin to come under threat from, obviously, Kieran for that P2. But also, looking behind that, Axlock might fancy himself to get that top 3 result in the championship. And you never know what can happen, because J. Cole and Callum Anand are not massively far behind. They can still overturn that points haul if they string together some good races. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Marco not really having the time to practice. I mean, I've been there. It's not nice when you're going into a race very raw, because you're kind of learning on the fly. But Marco, I don't think it'll affect him as massively, but obviously there is going to be a bit of a drop off there.
Yeah, I wonder how many drivers have not had time to practice the weather conditions, and I wonder if that's affected them in qualifying, them being this lower down, because the ones that have done well, you could tell they practiced because they knew the weather conditions, or they were watching the tiers before as well. But based on what we saw in the other tiers, what lap do you think the rain is going to fall? I think, in my opinion, it's going to fall slightly later than the P3 tier, because we saw P2 have it really early. But I think for in between P3 and P1, it's going to be a few laps later, in my opinion. What about you, Mike?
I'm predicting lap 22 for the rain to fall.
Lap 22. Okay. You can let us know in the chat on if you agree with us. I'm trying to remember what I think. I'm going to say lap 24, lap 25. I know in some practice sessions the rain hardly fell at all. And with the approximate weather setting, anything can happen. And for the majority of people, they're going to hope it's dry the way through. Catherine in the chat saying lap 22, 23, so kind of agreeing with you, Mike, and in between me as well. So you got to pick one, but maybe 22 and a half for Catherine, but that's not really a lap though, is it? So that's where the race, and you can see roughly what tyres everyone's going to go on to as well. It was tight in our tier who started on what tyre. We saw all 3 tyres being used in our tier. Do you think in this tier we'll see the same?
But I don't think we're going to see the soft tyres come out to play unless it's going to rain quite early. But obviously the drivers, they're not really going to know that before they come into the race. Obviously they'll see on the weather. But we're going to the 5 red lights now, Jess.
Here we go. 5 red lights for round number 9 of the 100 Racing Championship here in Qatar. And it is action. Let's see who gets a good start. Marco gets a better start from Ben Mills, but it was Ben Mills that got a pretty good launch in towards turn number 1. So Marco had the better reaction time. Ben had a better traction in towards T1. As we got a bit of contact, one of the Ferraris has gone off with the Williams. Please don't say it's Colin and Lukey. No, it's not. Colin's up to 3rd already. What an amazing start Colin has had already. As we've already got someone that's off. Arnold's out of the race, and we got BSC. Okay, that's an uncharacteristic mistake from Arnold. I'm guessing he's got a wheelie shoe or something like that. It looks a very weird crash.
Possibly, we'll have to wait and see what Arnold says about that. And of course, it wasn't Colin and Lukey that came together. It was the rivalry that has burned since the dawn of time. It was Nick and Lukey that came together.
Ah, yeah, I should have known. I should have known. Insane. And with a BSC around here, that means the field is now neutralised. It gives us a chance to breathe, Mike, because a lot happened in that lap. Only one driver starting on the softs, and that's Casper. Everyone else either on mediums or hards. Kieran, Collie, Callum, Jaco, and Alexa opted for the hards. Everyone else on at the mediums. Ben's going slightly faster than I was expecting. I'm guessing the VSC is going to end very soon. Or is it the game glitching and telling us that... No, that's still VSC, I believe. Ben was thinking about pitting, but he's not. This is a long virtual safety car, Mike.
Yeah, very long virtual safety car. And one thing I was going to say, Jess, massive props to Casper and Alex for their start as we go back to green flag racing. Both of them up 8 positions off the start.
Yeah. As we're seeing moves being made to kick Albers, they're fighting each other as Owen's made a position. He's had some good ground after starting near the back of the field, so he didn't get caught up in the carnage, and he's already in the points-paying positions. This will help him with his engine penalties, but we got Ben, Marco, and Colin in 3rd. At slot in 4th. Casper really needs to get a move on if he wants to make the most of those soft tyres, as Casper trying to go for a lunge in towards the very tight and twisty section of turns 8 and 9 towards turn number 9. Can he hold his line there? That was beautiful from Casper Klein.
Yeah, that was fantastic from Casper. I was looking at the battles further down the field. Obviously, a switch between the McLarens as Callum and Arnold was trying out a different type of motorsport. He went from F1 to
Rallycross.
Yeah, to the rally, and was drifting through the first sector.
Yeah, both McLaren seem to be struggling a little bit there, which is not what I was expecting, but hopefully we'll see them climb up their way up the order soon. That those hards will come into use, I think, about lap 9 and lap 10, I think. And with the DRS first in use now, who we're going to see go for moves now? We're going to find out. Coley has ran out of DRS to Casper, which means this gives a chance for Alex to close in. He's got plenty more ERS as it stands. They make their way towards turn number 3 now. Takes a very tight line. Beautiful line that he has taken. It would help if I went on board with the right house, as Alexa took a really good, beautiful line in towards turn 2, but he's down in 17th at the moment. All in one DRS train, which shows how everyone is just so competitive right now. But Casper, he's on a mission. If he doesn't get past some of these drivers in the next few laps, the softs are just going to be useless.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing for Casper is obviously the undercut around here can be very beneficial. So Casper, while he may not get further up the order than what he'd like, he can maybe climb an extra few positions with the undercut.
Yeah. He can climb up, I think, as many as he possibly can. As Axelot's got a penalty. So, as we were talking about earlier in one of the questions for the pre-race interviews, track limits can be a thing. We saw quite a few invalidations, and we've seen races in P1 tier in the past get decided by how many penalties people have, and with the people picking less penalties, they were the one that gets the win. We saw that with Nick last season when he won, because he had less penalties than the one that was in P1 on track. As Curry, Owen and Chris are having a really nice battle, passed it towards turn 1. Curry getting ahead, obviously starting in 6th, dropped down to 9th, but he's still giving a good old go at least. Owen's going up to 10th, Chris in 11th. These lot are giving a ding-dong battle. It's really, really great to see out there at the moment, but they can't afford to push themselves to 100% all the time, because they have to stretch one of the stints until the wet period.
Yeah, and let's go. We just saw J. Cole getting through on Seco there for P12, so a good job there from J. Cole. A driver that is doing very well right now, Jess, is Colin up in the P3, and he's doing very well to keep up with the top 2 right now.
He is. He said himself he was looking for redemption. He said that he thinks that Nick will be better. But to be fair, who has sweated the most out of you two? You. Colin has sweated the most for this race. He has had good pace around it, but he's got to keep it within the white lines. That's going to be the important thing. We got our second penalty of the evening, and both of them belong to the Aston Martins. We got Callum on arm that's past Seco like no tomorrow here. He's up into 13th. He's going to try and maybe get past his teammate. This is going to be quite close. You can see J. Cole trying to get past Chris. We've got Owen trying to get past Curry. There's a lot going on here, but both McLarens get past Chris like crazy at the moment, and Nick's all over this too. As we can see, Seco around the outside of Nick in towards turn number 3. He's going to hold his line. Respectful racing there. There were just 2 lots of battles going on. I don't know which way to look, but it's all happening here in Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like the Hards are starting to get themselves up into a good window right now for J. Cole and Callum and Arm, because they are closing in on the likes of Curry and Owen up ahead.
They
So
are.
it'll be interesting to see. Collie and Kieran look like they're getting themselves back into it. How much longer is Casper Softs going to last, though? That's going to be the question, because I think that could be the split in this train at the top.
When I was watching P3, I think it was about in a lap's time when the softs really started to die and the means became a thing. And then a few laps later, it was the hards that were the better tyre. So these drivers that haven't made moves yet, it's just proven that it's a lot more difficult with these sweats than any of the other tiers, because they're more competitive. These drivers, they want to all be the best. That's why they're in the top division here at One Hub Racing. Alex is going to get the slipstream from Casper, and I think we can see the soft tyres definitely not being the one to be on right now. But let's watch the two McLeods as they keep swapping positions once again. Chris goes into the pits. Now that's early from a set of the medium tyres. I wouldn't have gone there if I were you. I would have waited about 5. That explains it, Mike. He's got front wing damage.
Yeah, and front wing damage around here is not ideal. Obviously, you lose a lot of time, especially in the middle sector, where there's a lot of tight, twisty corners where you really need the downforce to carry the speed through. And yeah, front wing damage is just not going to help that. And right now, Jess, Axlock is on the teetering edge of losing out on DRS to Colin.
Yep, he is. Axelot is in a bit of trouble, which gives a bit of hope for Casper, because he's going to have some DRS to defend from Alex, because if Casper did not have DRS, then he would be in a spot of trouble as well. And as I just said that, Mike, Axelot has found some DRS again. No, he's not. He's got to find a few more attempts to be absolutely safe, and Colin is going to be pushing like a madman to make sure Axelot doesn't get any sniff of DRS. I believe Axel does get DRS. Casper pits in part of the race where I thought the softs were going to pit, and he's going to go on to, if I was playing my cards right, a set of the hard compounded tyres. So we'll see him come in. Yes, hard compounded tyres for Casper.
Yeah, and I think that was the correct call from Casper. Didn't lose any time due to the tyre wear of his softs dropping off, and he came in at the right time to get the set of the hards on, and now he's got a lot of fresh air he can push into, Jess, and he can maybe get an undercut on these guys in front.
Yeah, I think that's one benefit of you getting the undercut. You're not stuck in that traffic. And I wonder if some of the medium runners will be pitting a few laps earlier than expected to do that. But their hards are going to be an absolute nightmare towards the end before it gets to wet rain. So I think most people would pit lap 10. But I think quite a few people will pit lap 8 or lap 9 just to really be safe. I'm impressed with this top 5 right now. They're keeping up with the top 2, especially of Ben and Marco. We know how Ben and Marco could be quick around this track. Even the top 7, actually. The top 7, anyone in the top 7, apart from Axelot, sorry Axelot, you got a penalty, so you're not in the equation. Anyone right now who's in the top 7 could win this race. Collie and Kieran, I think the hards are the right tide to be on right now because they're closing in on the medium runners.
Yes, we see a switch there from the McLarens. Callum and Arm now ahead of J. Cole. So
Yes.
we're going to see if Callum and Arm can catch up to the likes of Curry and Owen. And then we'll see if they got the pace to try and close in on Kieran and Collie for the remainder of their stint. But yeah, I mean, right now the hards seem like the better tyre to be on. And you're seeing it in this middle sector. It just looks like the hards they feel more comfortable in this middle sector than the mediums right now.
Yeah, it seems to me that you just looking at the 2 McLarens, they seem to have more traction, and then when you go on board with one of the medium runners, they're starting to have a bit of slides, a bit of Tokyo drifts, and they're having to slow down a bit to avoid it, which means they're not unlocking their true potential. Whereas if you're on the hard, you're able to push for a little bit longer, which was, I think that's what won up of the race, I think. So I think he did 2 hard stints in P2, I believe. And because he was able to extend that stint and be able to push for more laps than everyone else in the field, he was able to do that. So don't think that the hard tyre runners that are on the hards now are out of the woods yet, because we saw it being done in P2. It could definitely be done in P1. Alex is looking for a chance to get past Axelot to the inside. He doesn't go for it. There's not been many moves at this point. I think we're going to start to see more drivers come into the pits. Jaco gets past Callum. We're seeing more pit stops. Lukey coming in. Seago coming in. I think 2 laps I was expecting, because I thought people would be pitting at the end of lap 9. But you can see Seago, especially, his medium tyres are done. So they both come out onto the hard tyres. They think the rain's going to come a lot sooner than you would expect, Mike.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, the drivers are definitely going to be having a communication with their race engineers and asking for the updates on the weather. Just seeing what he's going to say, whether it's going to be in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or, I mean, I don't think it'll be 5 minutes, but you never know. But they're going to be looking for that update to come ASAP. As Alexa's in the gravel in the middle sector. Just gone on board with Alexa then, and taking a trip in the gravel. That is not good for the Haas's hard compound tyres.
No, that's not good at all. No, Axelot's picked himself another 3-second time penalty. He's on 6 seconds, the only driver to be on 6. So he's pretty much exceeding the track limits, and that's not what he wants, because we thought that Axelot was going to get a very good result tonight, as Alexa went very wide into the penultimate few corners, which has not helped him. We got more pitters, especially from our midfield. Owen and Curry come in to serve their pit stops. Hard tyres, they go on for them, so we'll see where they end up. I thought Alex was going to go for the move. He's going to try and go for the move around the outside, and he does it. Nicely done from Alex. I believe that was in a corner that you wouldn't necessarily go for a move. And we saw Alex have a very good fight with Casper last week. He's showing that he's definitely improving in this tier. This move was amazing.
Yeah, Casper has definitely, Alex has definitely been growing in the season thus far. And you could tell that Alex is just really starting to enjoy racing now in P1, because he's up there competing with the top guys now. He's up there going wheel to wheel, battling it out with the creme de la creme here in P1. Now, though, he has the old wily fox in Colin R. Mason in front.
and Colin is defending for his life. He's not going to let Alex get past him. But I wonder if any of the drivers are going to come in. Colin's going in. So is Axelot. I wonder if I think Nick could go in because there's a bit of a gap for both the Ferraris to come in. But Nick is playing it safe and staying out, which is quite smart, I reckon, at the moment, because you don't want to lose that much time. Oh, I did see the Red Bull and the RB going for a move. Collie just about staying ahead on that one. They're not catching as much as I would have thought on the top three there, which is, I think, must be very frustrating for them. As Casper, who pitted for a few laps early, he is your net race leader at the moment. He is in a net race leader. Is that what you were noticing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was noticing. I thought it was going to be very close on the pit lane exit, but yeah, Casper not only getting ahead of Cole, but already being out of DRS range.
Oh, look at J. Cole round the outside on Curry. No, Curry stays ahead. Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you what, this is big for J. Cole. He's got to try and get through on Curry as soon as possible. Axlock has come out just in front of Curry, and Axlock appears to be struggling, especially with the time penalties. Owen he's got away from him. Like, Owen was battling with Curry moments ago, and now Owen's got a nice 2-second lead, 2.5-second lead to Curry.
Yeah, I think Owen's had a very good pit stop. So. And the undercut is powerful as far as we know. So look at this, Corley trying to defend from Kieran. We thought Kieran was going to go round the outside, but no can do, says Corley. You're in the sister team. Go away. I am in the giant Red Bull team. I'm the one should stay ahead. I don't think they'll be saying that, but I would imagine they would do so. So let's see who's going to stay out of this one as Casper gets ahead of Ben Mills. Ben Mills just pitted. He's on mediums as we got Colin and Marco side by side. Colin just about gets through. So the undercut has worked favours, but Ben on mediums, I doubt this would have worked. But to be fair, Ben managed to get 11 laps on mediums earlier. So, and if we saw what happened in the lower tiers, it came lap 22, 23. So I think it's smart for Ben, but it's time to go be crying for mercy towards the end of the stint. He's going to hope that the rain is going to come ASAP.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what Casper is going to do, like how much he's going to get his elbows out, because, I mean, Kieran is not completely out of the fight for the race win, and he could potentially help his teammate out, especially in the Drivers' Championship here.
That is very interesting, because I think we know Kieran, he likes to race. Casper likes to race. So I know Casper's definitely going to pull up a fight, but sometimes you got to pick your battles. But we'll see what happens. As Ben trying to go for the move early, but I thought he's going to get some DRS. We're going to watch Colin and Marco as well battle unfold, because I think that's going to get very interesting as well. Could Colin and Marco take advantage of these two battling? We'll have to wait and see. Here comes Ben Mills to the right-hand side, in towards turn one, and that was easy, does it? I don't think Casper thought that one. He knew that he's going to be on the durable tyre. As Ben's gone one little bit, that was definitely a warning.
And Marco has been jumped by Alex on the overcut.
Wow. So the overcuts worked for Alex. And do you know why? Marco was stuck in traffic.
Yes, Kieran is about 3.5 seconds off the back of these guys now. He's on a fresh set of mediums, so we're going to see if Kieran can try and close in. But
I
yeah,
was close to Kieran as well. Literally anybody could get a good result here. It's thrown things to the loop at its stands, and we love it.
Absolutely, and of course, with the looming threat of rain potentially coming towards the end of this race, it's definitely going to be a very spicy situation. Colin, though, needs to get back within that 1 second of Casper, otherwise he's going to be a sitting duck for Alex on the DRS straight.
Yeah, Colin's got to get a move on here. He can't afford to make any mistakes, but we know the hard tyres is quite a difficult tyre to master around this circuit. And it seems to me Alex on those mediums seems to be a little bit more hooked up, and this could give advantage Marco as well, as Ben sets the fast lap of the race. With the slipstream, Alex has got to get through the move done here, which he does. Marco almost did the same, but he doesn't. No can do there. Alex is coming. He's going to drop way down the order, which just leaves Collie staying out. That's a bit of a gamble. He's going to drop way down the order, because look at how the gap's coming down between himself and Ben Mills.
Yeah, the gap is coming down quite tremendously between Collie and Ben Mills. But I think with Collie, maybe he's hoping for a virtual safety car or something to get deployed, or maybe with everyone bunched up, he's hoping for something to happen that he can get a nice pit stop face, or maybe his race engineer has told him 15 minutes until the rain. So maybe he's trying to extend the harsh just a little bit more, then go on fresher mediums, and then try his best to carve his way through the field, but he's in now.
I thought more people would be on hards if that's the case, if the rain was going to come a little bit later, which is why I'm a bit confused. But yeah, Collie comes in, but he's going to drop way down the order. But your order then, because everyone has stopped at least once, don't forget, it is a mandatory 2-stop at One Hub Racing. Ben Mills P1, Casper P2, but is it going to be P2 for that much longer? We'll have to wait and see. Here comes Alex to the right-hand side of him, and he's through, and he's up to P2. He's having a very great race. Can Marco go around the outside of Colin R. Mason? Colin R. Mason is being the Minister of Defence right now around this circuit, and he's not letting the Mercedes driver get past him at all.
Yeah, Colin absolutely defending for his life here. He knows the possibility of a podium is on the cards. And all he's got to do is make sure he can stay in this train. He's on the teetering edge of losing DRS to Casper. And he needs to make sure that he is right there on the back, because his tyres are twice as worn as Colin. So Casper is going to be feeling the tyre weight before Colin will.
Yeah, because he pitted, I think, quite early on to get that undercut. But if the rain's not going to come till like towards the end of the race, these tyres are going to be crying for mercy. So maybe Casper may not have done the right thing, or maybe he's going to try and just play by ear and just go for a dry 2-stop strategy. We'll have to wait and see. I've had word about what caused Arnaud's incident earlier on. Arnaud was saying that someone punched him in the wall. No idea what happened. Not going to go too much into it. But yeah, someone apparently punted Arnaud into the wall, and that was his race over.
That's unfortunate for Arnold. He'll definitely probably be analysing his footage as Marco gets through. And Collie getting through on Owen as well down the start-finish straight. One thing I was going to say, Jess, Alex has caught up quite considerably on the back of Ben Mills here, so the battle for the race win is now on.
I think we were kind of hoping we would get a race battle like this in Monza, didn't we? But it was his first race, and he forgot to do the 2-stop. Could we see him kick up his first win in Qatar? Because his first win is a long time coming. Because Monza, his pace was very strong, but we wouldn't have known his pace because he didn't do the strategy correctly, unfortunately. But he is showing that he has got the pace, and I believe he took. I'm just trying to think. I know he took a car wear penalty. I'm trying to remember what penalty he took this week. Let me have a look. Gearbox. So he's taken a gearbox penalty, and he's already chasing down Ben for the lead. His strategy is going to be spot on if the rain comes early. If the rain doesn't come early, then it's not going to be as good for him. But if he can keep up this pace until the rain comes, it's going to be those two fighting out for the win. Here comes Alex. Past Ben Mills, it's going to be an easy move. I thought Ben would have fought that, but he doesn't. Marco gets past on Casper, which means I think Casper's tyres probably a little bit worse for wear compared to Marco's. We got Kieran past Collie through into P6. A lot of moves going on at the moment.
Yeah, and that gap to Colin and Kieran is now down to 1.6 seconds, so the mediums are closing in. But it's going to be a case of when does it happen. As I think Casper just picked himself up a 3-second time penalty for track limits.
He did. Casper just picked up one, which is a real shame. I just saw Colin have a bit of a slide there coming on the exit of turn 7, I think it was. I'm losing track of the corners here in Qatar. It's one of the new tracks, so what would you expect?
Yes, Colin doing his best to stay in the DRS range of Casper. Casper trying to stay in the DRS range of Marco. Now, Jess, this is where things are going to start to get interesting, because in the next 2 laps, the hards are going to be the better tyres versus the mediums.
Yes.
And Marco is within 3 seconds. Can Marco close back in on Ben and Alex here?
Oh, this is going to be a tall order. I think in the next few laps, he might do. He might do. It's going to be interesting. I wish we had telemetry up to see when the rain was going to come. Oh, we got a battle for the lead again, Mike. Ben is through on Alex once more.
Yeah, I think for Ben and Alex, the smart thing to do now would be
DRS each other.
DRS trade with each other, just to keep the likes of Marco, Casper, Colin, and anyone else at bay, and keep the fight between you two.
And then you're able to save ERS, you're then able to save a bit of wear on your tyres, which means you're able to make the tyres last longer. And we got another piece of the jigsaw puzzle unfolding. Marco's picked himself a penalty now. We're starting to see more penalties being picked up from a lot of our quick drivers, which is bad news for them. Good news for the top 2, good news for your Colin, good news for your Kieran, or the likes of Owen, Callum, J. Cole, Nick, etc., who have not picked up time penalties yet. And if we get a safety car, which is probably not going to happen now, it can mean anything to them right now. So those two as... what's happened?
I just spotted something. Lukey and Chris on the set of the soft tyres. That tells me that the rain is maybe a lap or 2 out, because they're going for the fastest lap before the rain comes.
That's what you did in PT, didn't you? They got nothing to lose at the end of the day. That picks them an extra point. So that's going to be an interesting battle as Alex gets through on Ben once again. Are we going to see more moves being made? No, I think some people are just going to play it smart and save a bit of their tyre life at the moment. I think if you are near the back and you have no hope in hell to get a good result, maybe going the fastest lap right now is probably the best decision, because otherwise you're not going to aim for points anyway. The fast lap inside the top 10 at the moment belongs to Alex with a 1:22.970, 2 100ths quicker than Ben Mills. And then we have got fast lap outside the top 10 belongs to Nick. So if you want to get fast lap outside the top 10, you have to be a 1:23.8, which is possible on soft tyres. So I think that's what Lukey's going to try and do, and Chris is going to try and do right now. As I'm excited about this battle going to be unfolding. I want the gap to interval, not gap to leader. There we go. We've got Alex and Ben for the win. Marco's closing him down. The hard's on the right tyre.
I've noticed, and of course, the DRS train from Casper goes all the way down to Kieran now. And obviously, Kieran, he has picked himself up a time penalty, which is unfortunate for him. But we know Kieran's pace in the wet is usually pretty electric. So we're going to be on for an absolutely stellar end to this race when the rain comes.
Yeah, Kieran is not a bad move to pick up a win, because I think the last race win was in Belgium and he won. So there we go. I think he won Belgium. I can't remember. I'll need to look at the standings. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I do apologise. Actually, no, Ben might have won Belgium. Never mind. I will check the standings after this race, and hopefully you can get me as well. So your order at its stand. That's your order. We got 3 DRS trains forming, and we got 2 drivers going for the fastest lap. We got multiple drivers going for the podium, and multiple drivers trying to score some points. Shame for the likes of Curry, who was on for a good result, but unfortunately he has dropped down into P13. What could have been for him? I think we're a few laps out, I believe, until we expected some rain. And I predicted lap 24, 25 when it's going to be enough for Inters. Catherine said lap 23. You said lap 22, didn't you, Mike?
Yep.
So if you just joined us, tell us what lap you think is going to be enough for intermediate conditions. So here comes Alex. I don't think Alex is going to go for it here. But they got to, because Marco's within DRS, and Colin is going to get past Casper around the outside into T1. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he does. Colin through, up into a net P3 at the moment.
Yeah, and now Colin, he's got to go charging. Now his tyres are better than the top two. Marco is stuck in behind them. Colin has to now charge after these guys as quickly as possible because he needs to build a gap now to Casper. Well, he's got the advantage on Collie and Kieran as well. Obviously, their tyres are going to begin to fall away soon. Colin needs now to push and get away.
He needs to. He's got to stay within 3 seconds because I think that's the penalty that Marco got. Yes, he has. We'll get through your penalties just in case anyone's jeffing. So there you go. We've got quite a few people that got 3 seconds. Axelot and Alexa and Chris have got 6. No, everybody else has got none. We won't say about warnings because that's cheating. So, but based on looking at, there's probably another warning for the Red Bull driver because he went way off track there. So you could probably guess where they got warnings. Is the fact that how wide they've gone around just to try and gain on the track limits. And Marco's got to get the jump because if he gets held up by these two, this is going to allow the other hard runners to close in. So Marco's got to get a move on ASAP. And we saw this in the lower divisions as well, something similar, where the harder tyre, people just can't get past the ones that are giving up the ghost. It's about track position for some drivers.
Yeah, and here's the question now, Jess. Is it going to be Mystic Mike as Collie sends one down the inside on Colin or Mason? A fantastic move from the Red Bull. And it looks like Colin now beginning to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, Colin's dropped, I think, 2 places. So, yeah, those hards are definitely not working for Mr. the Welshman, which is a shame because he was on for a good result. But I think he just had a bit of a tank slapper potentially. So, shame for Cole, but it is not over until it's over. I'm just trying to go on board to see if we can see drops of rain. But at this point in both tiers, we've seen rain in P2 and P3. We haven't seen any rain in P1.
Yeah, and we're coming to the end of the Mystic Mike prediction. And we'll be going on to Mystic Calf next and then
Rain,
Mystic Jess.
Wait, it's raining. There you go.
That's right.
There you
Mystic
go.
Mike. Mystic Mike.
So, lap 22, the rain has fallen. So, well done, Mike. You get a brownie point there. The question is, when's it going to be enough for people to come into the pits as Marco gets through on Ben Mills? Ben Mills is struggling out there. Collie's through on Casper. Colin's back with this fight now. Oh, this is amazing. This is going to get very tricky for these drivers. Who can survive the trickiest conditions?
Yeah, and the question is now, though, Jess, is it going to get wet enough for the Inders?
This is a tough call, I think. It's not raining as hard as the other tiers, I don't think. Because you can't see it on the track at the moment. You can see it on the camera lens just about. And you can see some slides. I remember in the practice session, I remember pitting a few laps too early for Inters. And the tyres were just overheating and they were just not helping. So I think we're going to get something similar. People are thinking, yeah, let's go in. And then they're going to make the wrong decision. The one that's going to do well in this race is going to time their strategy right. They got to use their experience to perfection. Lap 23 in P3, people went to Inters. Yes, Gaza, you were right. I can't remember what it was in P2. I think it was lap 21, 22, I think it was. It was quite early in our tier.
Ben's in.
Ben's in. Okay, if more than Ben comes in, then
Asper's in.
I wonder if people were told by their engineers to come in, because that's what happened to me. As Chris comes in as well. So Ben goes in on, it looks a bit wet in the pits, so this could be quite smart. Let's go on board. I still think it's a bit early. okay. There's some dry parts, but there are some wet. I don't know. I really don't know at this point.
Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out because now we're gonna have to go.
It's wet. It's inters. You could see just about on my screen that there's a lot little drops on the track, and then you know.
Has Ben Mills just pulled off a absolute strategy masterclass here and pitted on the correct lap?
He's gonna win. He's gonna win the race. I think he's I told you, whoever wins this race is gonna be the first person to pull the trigger. He has pulled the trigger. He gambled that the rain was gonna come now, and it did. So lap 24, the rain fell. End of lap 23 was when it was enough for inters. And I believe Catherine predicted that. So Mystic, Catherine, and Mike, well done, as we're seeing pitters. And let's just watch Ben coming out of the triple right-hander. I think it's going to be quite close coming out of the pit lane. They've got to have a very good pit lane exit in order to do so. So here we go then, in towards the final corner. Kieran comes in as well. A little bit of a tank slap of Ben there, so he needs to get his tyres up into the operating window. He's going to be right in the lead. He's going to be right in Actually, no, he's not. Okay. So Alex is leading. GOS disabled.
Yeah, I was wondering if Alex managed to get enough out of that one lap to negate the time gain that Ben would have had, because Ben was about 3 seconds off the back of Alex, and of course Alex did lose a second and a half on that lap, but it seemed like he's done just about enough to stay ahead.
Yeah, I don't know where his pace has come from, but he likes those interchangeable conditions. So could we see Alex get his first win in one hub? And someone asking in the chat, why is it raining in Qatar again? Well, we have the adaptive weather system at One Hub Racing, and in the pre-race show earlier, the wheel has spoken, and it is a dry to wet race in all 3 tiers. So hopefully that answered your question, and Dretty, for those of you that are wondering, well, why is it raining again? So we do have a few more laps to go, and everyone now is on the inters. Gaz has got a good question, which I think Mike will need to do, because I can't, because I'm streaming. Okay. Gaza wants to see who has the least warnings in the top 2. So who has the least warnings out of Alex and Ben Mills? So whilst you do that, we're going to see. I think there's not going to be that much battles, apart from if your name is Atslot and Owen. I don't think Owen will want to be fighting this too hard with the penalty, but you never know. He's a racer at heart as they make their way towards T1.
Okay, so I've just had a little look at the warnings now between the top 2. Ben Mills hasn't picked up a single track limit warning yet.
Wow. So
Alex has picked up 1.
So they're nowhere near getting a penalty right now. So it's going to be a sprint to the finish. We've seen in P2, I think, 5 cars fight for the win. In P3, we had a great finish between Joe and Gaza. Could we get another tight finish in P1 for 3 tight finishes in a row? Come on. Ben, it's got to close up to Alex. If we do that, we're going to get 3 tight finishes in a row, which will be insane. Hopefully that's answered your question, Gaza. So yeah, nowhere near enough to get a penalty right now, Gaza. But Marco is doing enough right now to keep P3. So he's going to remain on the podium. I predicted Ben and Marco over the podium, but I wouldn't have predicted Alex. And he's increased the gap once more.
Yeah, I've had an absolute nightmare in terms of my podium prediction, because Kieran's in 7th with a penalty, and then you got J. Cole down in 12th. But one thing I am seeing, Jess, it looks like Colin is beginning to struggle a little bit in these conditions.
Yes, and I think the person that's not struggling is Kieran, and he likes the wet. I think he's like me, Mike. In the dries, absolutely quick, absolutely consistent. In the wets, he struggles and he slides everywhere. as Kieran's doing what I did in the first few laps of the interstint and sliding everywhere too. So everyone, I think, in the midfield is finding it tricky right now.
Yeah, but right now Colin is on for a fantastic result as long as he can keep up the pace. Of course, he's kept it penalty-free thus far, and right now he's looking at potentially jumping up ahead of not only Casper, but Collie as well.
Yep. So Collie could be on course for his best result in One Hub Racing. This could be very interesting in terms of the Constructors' Championship, because actually, who got fastest lap outside the top 10? We could tell you that at the moment. That belongs to Lukey. So Lukey gets a point out for the fastest lap outside the top 10. So yes, he's in 16th, but him bidding on softs has done him more than good favours to get him a point in this race.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Lukey will be happy that he's walking away with something out of this race. Obviously, his rival in Colin is going to close up massively on him in the championship as long as he can keep this up. And that rivalry is going to be heating up into the final couple of rounds now, gents.
Yeah, it's just a shame Colin didn't have the pace for the podium in the wet conditions, but there we go. But look at the gap closing to Alex and Ben Mills on these final few laps. 1.2 seconds. I'm just going to get the ERS levels for you. So Alex is using none in towards the first few corners just to get a better traction. That's potentially what I should have done. And then he's using overtake to gain some extra speed. Ben Mills is doing the same. I've learned a lot by watching how they've been managing their ERS throughout this race. It's very smart from them, to be fair. Marco's using none as well. So the front three are all using none in some parts just to save a bit of tyre life and gain traction, and then using overtake to gain some extra speed.
Yeah, and right now I'm looking at a potential battle that could be brewing for the final lap, Jess. Battle between the commentators, Nick and J. Cole.
The P3 league commentator versus the P2 league commentator are fighting for 11th place on the grid. That's going to be exciting. They want to see who's the best commentator. Right now, the best commentator is going to finish in P1. It's going to finish P6, and that's Colin. So there we go. So we are about to start the final lap. We literally got 2 battles to watch. We got plenty of battles to watch, but this is the battle that we want to see. Alex, who has not put a foot wrong, but look at Ben. He's right on the back of Alex. He seems to me that Ben's got the better traction right now. They've been saving their ERS for this moment. Through towards turn number 5. Flicks the car, 4th gear, keeps it in 4th. I thought that one of the top 2 scored a penalty and I would have screamed my hat off. But no, it was Seco in 15th. But Ben seemed to be struggling to get his tyres up to temperature a little bit, whereas Alex, in some places, he's struggling as well. So they're pretty much even on pace. This is going to be another slam dunk finish. It's about who's going to has the better grip to win this one. Can Ben pull out of all the stops and make it a photo finish? We're going to have to wait and see. He's going to burn a battery. The rain is getting worse here in Qatar. Casper's picked up another penalty, but we don't want to worry about him too much. Here comes Alex and Ben through the triple right-hander. Ben's got 46% of battery. Alex has got plenty more battery. If Alex could just burn the battery up until the start-finish straight, his victory is his. Through it goes Alex and Ben. Who's going to win this one? It is going to be Alex, who takes his first win in One Hub Racing around Qatar by 3 tenths per second. Ben takes second. Marco third. Collie with a great 4th position. Casper 5th, but Colin's going to jump to... Oh, Colin's going to jump to 4th. Colin will be very happy with that. Collie in 5th. Owen will be happy with his result in P6 after his engine panel. I think it was engine, I can't remember. It was definitely a carway penalty anyway. to the two races aboard in 7th and 8th. Callum, good recovery tonight, but you would have probably aimed higher. Atslot in 10th, Nick in 11th, and J. Cole gets the final point. And obviously, Lukey get the fastest lap point inside the top 10. Fastest lap inside the top 10 belongs to Alex. Fastest lap outside the top 10 belongs to Lukey. So there we go. Your race winner, Mike was right. Mystic Mike strikes again. The winning streak is over. And the one that stopped it, Ben Mills, was Alex.
I'm putting the lottery on for next week, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, can I have lottery numbers from you, please, Mr. Mike Edwards?
Yeah, I'll send them over. You want the fundable, right?
Yeah. Or Euro Millions. I don't know. But we are just waiting for Chris to come across the line. He's been struggling, bless him. He doesn't like this track and the wet.
I can attest to that one right there.
Oh.
As Zico finished just above.
He left the session
Lukey,
too early.
He left the session.
So where did he finish?
He was just in front of Lukey. P50.
So we'll try and take that to account. But this is the man that has driven a sensational race today. And could this be the sign for things to come? Maybe even next season. Could we see a title challenge from him next season? We'll have to wait and see. Let's go through your results. Your cleanest drive belongs to Ben Mills. Well, I'm not really that surprised because he hasn't picked up a single warning. But here we go. Alex wins from Ben Mills. We got Marco in 3rd, Colin in 4th, Collie 5th, Owen in 6th. Then we got Kieran, Casper, Callum, Atsalot, Nick, J. Cole. Then we got Curry, Alexa. Then it will be Seco. Then it will be Lukey, Chris. And then your only on and only retirement was Arnow, lap 1. I think that instant will be go through to the stewards. And it's now time to pick our sim racing setups driver of the days. And I'll start with you first, Mike.
Well, since you wasn't here last week, I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I sometimes go boring and pick the race winner, but this is very, very tough. But I'm gonna go with. He thinks he was going to get a sympathetic driver of the day for having a poor result, but he's actually going to get a driver of the day nomination for a very good result. I'm going to have to give it to another Welshman. No, it's not you, Mike Edwards. It is Colin. He gets my driver of the day nomination, and my question goes to you. Were you expecting a good result like this tonight after your pace was dropping just a little bit? Or during the rep period, and how crucial was keeping it out of track limit penalties? So that's my question. I worded it weirdly, but I'm sure Salo could do it differently. But there we go. Mike, who are you going to go for, and what's your question?
Well, I'm glad you went for Colin, because if you went for anyone else, I probably would have gone Colin as well. But I am going to give my driver of the day nomination to Alex, and I think it's probably deserved for Alex to be nominated. And my question to Alex would be, it seems in the past couple of races and that you've had a real upturn in terms of performance. Do you think that this will be the beginning of carrying the momentum on to take more race wins before the end of the season?
Good question. I was going to go for Alex, by the way, if I didn't go for Colin. So I think we both would have gone for the same nominations anyway. So I think we were on a good wavelength, to be fair. So that was your Sim Racing Setup Driver of the Day nominations, which the drivers could vote on a Discord tomorrow. So make sure you keep an eye on Discord for that. And of course, next week, we're going to be starting at a slightly earlier time, because of course we've got a certain real life Grand Prix with some certain F1 drivers such as Lando Norris. You may not have heard of him, but there we go. But yeah, well, we go to COTA, but then we want to watch the real life race, so we are going to be starting slightly earlier in at the P1 tier. So I'm just trying to look. I think it's at 6 o'clock we're starting. Yeah, it is. Why am I questioning it? So it'll be 6 p.m. UK time next week for the P1 tier. So we'll be starting about an hour and a half early, so we can all go and watch the COTA real life. So with 3 more rounds to go, this is crucial for the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Ben will be obviously very happy that he's gained points in the championship on Marco and Kieran. Kieran will feel slightly aggrieved that he's dropped points and added the 2 in front of him. And honestly, Alex now, is he potentially going to be on a late charge to maybe try and catch the likes of J. Cole, Callum and Casper? Maybe try to push for a top 5 finish. Who knows?
And we've got some drivers that could spoil the party and try and steal points from our championship contenders as well. So maybe that's what Alex is here to do. Maybe his race win tonight is not his only one. And I predict it's definitely not going to be his only one in his One Hub racing career, I have to say. But thank you so much to everyone for watching the stream. Of course, thank you to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, Pure Sim Gear, Sim Racing Setups, Vespertine and SimGrid. Of course, thank you to all the drivers for racing. The racing has been great tonight. Of course, thank you to Mike for joining me in the commentary box once more, and we'll see you at an earlier time for P1 at 6 p.m. UK time. You can also catch the pre-race talk show at 10 a.m. next Sunday, and of course you've got P3 at 3, P2 at 4:30, and of course what we just said, P1 at 6. So I've been Jess, he's been Mike. We'll see you next week at 6 p.m. for P1. Take care, bye bye.